Hello ladies and welcome to our progressive overload module. Now this is the most important element to any training program. This is what makes your training program work. So if you feel like you've been stuck, things aren't progressing, your body's not changing, this is probably the missing piece to the puzzle that you need in order to achieve the results that you're after. So very keen to get into this. Here we go. So what even is progressive overload and why does it matter? Now, to put it in simple terms, progressive overload is basically just making your training progressively harder over time, which means more weight, more reps, more sets, better control. That's it. And progressive overload matters because performance is the number one principle for muscle growth, strength, and visible change. So you need to do everything in your power to improve performance if you want to achieve the results that you're after. Your body will adapt fast, okay? If the challenge doesn't increase, your progress will stall. Now, there's more ways than one to apply progressive overload, but the most simple form of progressive overload is more weight equals more mechanical tension, which equals more muscle growth signal. So basically, if you're lifting more over time, you're creating more tension, so you're going to grow more muscle tissue. So how do you actually apply progressive overload? It requires effort and consistency. It is very simple, but it is not easy. Let's run through a simple example, right? You can hip thrust 60 kilos for 8 reps at about a 9 out of 10 difficulty. Every time you go into your session, your goal is to try and beat this. Everything that you do before that set doesn't contribute to muscle growth, but it will prepare you for it. You cannot expect to go into a session, throw 60 kilos onto a machine if this is what's normally challenging for you, and expect to do well. You have to work up to this weight. This is what we call warm-ups or feeder sets. This process is crucial. So we're going to start here because it can literally be the difference between progress or plateau. Here's exactly how I would approach this scenario. Key consideration before I get into all of this: the more weight that you're lifting on an exercise, the more warm-ups or feeder sets you're going to need. So just keep that in mind. Let's say 60 kilos for 8 reps is your working weight. So you can see down here, down the bottom, this is 60 kilos for 8 reps. So how I would approach this, I would come up to the machine, I would start with the empty bar, let's say it's 20 kilos, and I would do about 8 reps here. So the purpose of this is to find your groove with the movement, feel out the full range of motion, and activate the glutes. Set number 2. So all of these are warm-ups. None of these are working sets. None of these are contributing to muscle growth. They're just preparing you for the sets that are contributing to muscle growth, which is these working sets down here. So say we do 30 to 35 kilos and we do 6 reps. Now, the heavier that the weight gets and the closer to this working weight that we get, the less reps we want to perform because we don't want to fatigue ourselves. We want to prepare the body, but we don't want to waste too much energy because we want to use all of our energy for these main working sets that are contributing to muscle growth. So set number 3, 45 to 50 kilos, we only do 3 to 5 reps here, okay? You're priming your nervous system for the heavier load. Now, when you're executing these reps in these warm-up sets, I want you to imagine that it's the weight that you're about to perform at the working weight, okay? You're not treating them like they're insignificant or they're nothing because they're lighter. You want to prepare your body as best as possible. So the more that you can practice good form, good execution, good tempo, this will help you perform at your absolute best for the sets that matter, okay? So now we get to the working weight, 60 kilos for 8 reps. This is your top set. Full intention here. I want you to go hard. This is the one that matters. So put all of your effort into this and make it count. Okay, so this is the actual application of progressive overload over the course of a training block. So this is actually level 1. So what we call this is our single progression model, which is a beginner level. So as you're coming into training, you've been training for 1 to 2 years, this is probably the model that I would stick with for quite some time until you feel like this isn't challenging enough anymore, or you're just running into roadblocks all the time and you can't seem to progress further. Then I will show you more advanced progressive overload system after this. But this one is probably the best in terms of simplicity and effectiveness. So when we look at an exercise, so for example, here we've got the hip thrust, right? The rep range prescribed is 8 to 12 reps. Starting out week number 1, okay? We're doing 90 kilos for 8 reps, which you can see here is the bottom of the rep range, right? The following week, because it's a single progression model, we're only increasing one variable. Yeah, we either increase the weight or we increase the reps. In this scenario, because we're already using a weight that's challenging enough to fall on 8 reps, we're going up in reps here as the variable that we're increasing. So week number 2, 90 kilos for 9. Week number 3, 90 kilos for 10. Week number 4, 90 kilos for 11. Week number 5, 90 kilos for 12. Now, we've reached the top of the rep range. Here, 8 to 12, 12 reps at 90 kilos. So that's why I've got the green tick here. So that means, okay, job's done. We've hit the top of the rep range. Now let's increase the weight. So as we do that, we got by 2.5 kilos, 92.5 kilos for 8 reps. So now we're back at the bottom of the rep range, because as we increase the load, reps might come down, which is absolutely fine, but we want to stay within that rep range prescribed. So we just continue that model. 92.5 for 8, 92.5 for 9, 92.5 for 10, so on and so forth. Now, obviously this is going to be the goal across all of the exercises that we're performing. So you can see here that rep range 8 to 12, 28 for 10, 28 for 11, we reach 12. So we increase the load here to the next jump up, which is 30 kilos. So same thing for pendulum squat, same thing for leg curl, same thing for hip abduction. So as you can see, this progressive overload system is very simple and it's easy to execute. The more simple we can keep training, the more effective it's going to be, because you can apply the effort in the right areas and you're not second guessing yourself all the time. You can be consistent, apply a lot of effort, and the results will come. Okay, so moving on to our more advanced progression model, which is called the MyoRep progression model. Now, this one is very simple again, but it is very effective. Now, there's a theme here. The more simple it is, the more effective it can be. Now, what it looks like here is, the rule is, if you get stuck on the same weight for the same reps for multiple weeks in a row, we need to do something about it. Now, as I said earlier, progressive overload is just progressively making training a little bit more challenging over time. So when you get stuck at the same weight for the same reps for consecutive weeks in a row, progress will stall because the challenge isn't getting more difficult. Now, what that looks like here is week number 3, you do 90 kilos for 10 reps on the hip thrust. Week number 4, you do 90 for 10 again. Week number 5, you got 90 for 10 again. So we're going to add a 5 to 10 second pause and then continue to complete another 1 to 3 reps. So because you had that slight break, you're able to continue to perform more reps and you're able to increase the overall difficulty and you're able to accumulate more effective reps that are going to build muscle tissue, but you're also systemizing it. So there's a time and place where we're going to use this progression model to force progress, even if we feel like it's not possible. So as you can see here, 90 for 10, 90 for 10, 90 for 10 plus 2. So we got 12 total reps. Now, this is progress, okay? So then the following week, we can continue with our weight progression because now we're at the top of the rep range overall. This is probably my most favorite advanced progression model because number one, it saves time because you're not adding a bunch of sets because you're unable to progress in weight or reps, and you're not going to be spending all of this time in the gym that you just don't have, especially if you've got a family at home, you've got a full-time hectic job, or you've got other commitments that you need to be at. Training should be get in, make it effective, and get out. Okay, so moving on to the key considerations. Now, track your training data. This means track your weights, track your reps, track your sets, because this will remove the guesswork and show you the trends over time. And ladies, always form over weight, okay? Only increase the weight if execution quality stays the same or it improves. Always work within your prescribed rep ranges. Stay in the range before you increase the load. Sometimes what I'll see is the rep range will be 8 to 12. Someone's doing 10 kilos on a shoulder press and then they increase to 12 kilos even though they weren't at the higher end of the rep range prescribed, which means what will happen there is as they increase the weight, they're doing less reps than they're actually prescribed. So they might do 4 to 6 reps on the shoulder press. This is something that we want to avoid because the reason why we're prescribing the rep range the way it is because we're taking into consideration the movement itself. So is it safe? Is it stable? Is it something that I could perform at these lower rep ranges? If it is, then we'll prescribe it that way. If it's not, then we try to keep the rep range suitable for that exercise. Small increments matter. This is huge because a lot of people, they tend to throw on 5 kilos, 10 kilos, 20 kilos at a time, but everyone forgets about 1.25 kilos, 2.5 kilo jumps because these are really effective, but they don't seem like much, but we want it to be that way because that will allow consistent progression over time. Do not force big jumps. It's unrealistic. Consistency creates progress. This is why we follow a training program. Same exercises, same setup, same tempo. This will allow you to have accurate tracking and accurate, predictable progress. Tempo and control. The goal is to always keep the tension on the muscle. So, very important. Recovery drives adaptation. Your sleep, your nutrition, and deloads are all part of progressive overload. So, take them seriously and treat them with respect, because your performance will improve if you prioritize these things. Now, some of the biggest common mistakes that we always see: chasing numbers over quality. Yes, the goal is to progress, but not at the expense of the quality of the movement, because if you're not actually targeting the muscle that you're trying to train, then everything that you're doing is ineffective anyway. So always prioritize quality and don't sacrifice form to drive progress. Increasing weight too fast. Like I said before, 5, 10, 20 kilos, it's too much. Just go small, go slow. This will be way better for injury management and progressive overload long term. Neglecting or ignoring rep quality. Counting half reps or rushing the set just to beat last week's numbers isn't a good way of progress. So be strict with this. Ignoring recovery. If you're training harder but sleeping and eating poorly, this will lead to plateaus long term. Changing exercises too often. This also goes for changing machines all the time. Ideally, if you can, stick to the same machines, follow the program in the order that it's laid out, because it's done for a reason, and your progress will be a lot more manageable and a lot more predictable. Not logging your workouts, just relying on your memory, which makes it really hard going into the session, because it can be very easy to just train based on how you're feeling rather than making objective progress. Skipping your warm-up sets. Now, as I said in the beginning, poor preparation reduces output and increases risk. So if you don't warm up effectively, you will struggle to perform at the level that you need to in order to progress consistently. And lastly, expecting linear progress, right? Strength and muscle gains fluctuate. Progress isn't perfectly steady week to week. There's going to be ups and downs all the time. And of course, ladies, the challenges. Now, it's impossible to avoid these. It's going to happen. But the challenges that you're going to face is that you're going to hit plateaus where the weight or the reps just won't move forward. Now, obviously, I've given you a very effective, simple progression model to overcome this. But no matter what, you're always going to face these issues over time. So just be ready for them. And another challenge you'll face, ladies, is mental blocks, fear of failing a rep or just losing motivation in general. Now, yes, there's going to be times where you lose motivation. Yes, there's going to be times where you go into the gym and you just fail a rep because performance that day is not as good. Maybe you had poor sleep. Maybe you had poor nutrition. Maybe you drank alcohol over the weekend. Whatever it is, there might be a reason, but don't be afraid of failing, because failure is where growth occurs. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And girls, you got to focus on the small wins every single week and stay patient, because growth isn't linear. Celebrate that small win in training. Celebrate when clothes feel better and they fit differently. Celebrate that small drop on the scales or improved sleep, improved energy, whatever it is. Celebrate the small wins, because that's what will keep you going on the journey and improving your body long term. It's not going to happen overnight. So enjoy the process, find the wins, appreciate the work that you're putting in, and stay consistent. But that's it from me, ladies. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, as always, just reach out. We're always here to help. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.